Allow me to introduce this fine gentleman. Why don't you explain everything to him?
Neuvillette? What do you want? What are you gonna do? Kill me?
Calm down. I merely want to ask you a few questions. Was it your idea to send that letter to a Melusine? Hassan has already confessed, so there really isn't any need to keep...
That idiot! I can't believe I trust...
Let me ask this another way. It was your idea to send that letter, correct?
Yes.
Who is pulling your strings?
What? You're not trying to frame me for something I haven't done, are you?
It's best if you realize the gravity of your situation. The Chief Justice of Fontaine has been I assume your previous attempt to incite unrest at the Fortress of Meripede has something to do with this as well.
I admit I acted on impulse. I'll tell you the truth.
I can do that.
You see, we're all reasonable people.
I only intended to do some small business at first. Someone contacted me about delivering some goods and promised me a generous sum. After making a few trips, I was suddenly approached by the Marechaussee Phantom. They accused me of smuggling prohibited items, and I was put on trial. But I refused to accept any of that. The ignorant can be rightfully absolved from guilt, right? Well, I suspect that someone got me locked up here so they could...
And then you decided to take revenge on the Melusines? Over that?
My initial target was Neuvillette. Everyone in the Fortress of Meripede was declared guilty by him after all. So they must more or less hold a grudge against him, right? If I could get... But for some reason, no one wanted to team up with me. In the end, I had to redirect my focus onto Melusines to salvage things. I recall that Chiara was the one who confiscated my goods for inspection, so I asked one of the more approachable guards to send a letter, claiming that I meant to contact my family. But the letter was in fact addressed to Essa. I requested that he write a threat letter to Chiara and force her to resign from the Marechaussee.
Am I to assume that the claims you've made are your own thoughts?
No.
Is it true that all members involved in the smuggling scandal have been caught?
Yes. And that's all
Sigewinne, please take him back to the detention center. I'll deal with him later. So, Monsieur Neuvillette, you were concerned that there might be a shadowy faction
Yes. I experienced a similar incident in the past, so I had to be prepared for any possibility.
And how long ago was this incident?
More than 400 years.
You might be overthinking this. Time can change a lot of things. Everything's...
What do you mean?
400 years ago, you and the Melusines you brought to Fontaine were the outliers in society. But in the present day, if someone were to threaten the safety of the Melusines, people wouldn't just sit back and do nothing. I trust that they would make different choices.
That's right! We saw lots of people standing up for Melusines on our way back to the Palais...
Monsieur Neuvillette, the Melusines are a species you introduced to Fontaine. How the public treats them is also reflective of their attitude towards you. When people refused to place their trust in Melusines, it was because they were still on the fence about you, their unfamiliar Chief Justice. For almost 500 years, you've conducted every trial with impartiality. You made the right judgment each time, regardless of whatever nonsense went on. People no longer have any reservations about you, and even consider you a symbol of... Right now, your every decision will impact all of Fontaine. In other words, you've gradually transformed...
Paimon gets it now. No wonder no one wanted to join forces with Domenico.
I am undeserving of such high compliments. From my perspective, I have simply been fulfilled. It isn't anything special or worthy of praise. I'm simply fulfilling the promises I've made and searching for answers through my... It is unnecessary to hold me in such high regard. The complexity of human emotions and willpower far exceed those of mine.
There's no need to be so modest. The current state of affairs, you're no longer that outsider you were before. even if you wish to investigate something on your own.
I must say that you've made a fair point. Thank you for clearing my doubts. Now that the case...
Huh? You're leaving?
And so soon, too? Why not stay for a cup of tea?
Thank you for the offer, but I know how this place works all too well. While some are here to redeem themselves, there will inevitably be those who harbor resentment towards me. The less time I spend here, the better. My presence could very well result in a...
In that case, I'll have to insist. I still have 2 more things to say.
Please, go ahead.
The first is about the guard who helped Domenico send that letter.
Ah, I know of what you speak. The guard was indeed deployed from the Palais Memoria's staff. However, as I mentioned earlier, I visited today on...
Well, that makes things a lot easier. Hey now, don't let your imagination run wild. Those from up there have a tendency to sympathize with others. However, down here, such thoughts... I'll have a chat with the guard and remind him to take precautions in the future.
I see no issues with that.
Great! That's one thing out of the way.
The other thing was born from my own sense of curiosity. Now, I've heard that you investigated the mutual aid network.
Yep. Nevertheless thought their badges looked familiar.
I noticed the small gang as well when I first took over the Fortress of Meripede. They were not great in number, but every member always made sure to stand. I've looked into their founder, Vautrin, who once stood trial and was sentenced to imprisonment in the fortress. According to existing documentation, Vautrin remained disciplined throughout his imprisonment. He had never once engaged. In other words, how he presented himself in prison was very different from his behavior in court.
What? During his trial, I could sense that his feelings were complicated. He appeared to be full of resentment, and I believe he had every right to feel that way.
Perhaps he had been putting on an act.
An act?
Neuvillette and Vautrin had a close relationship as superior and subordinate. Vautrin must have known that the Chief Justice would make an impartial judgment. Thus, the more resentment he displayed, the clearer it would be to those present that you were upholding justice. And to those who had been sitting on the fence, Vautrin's act was a very meaningful one. That's all from me. Does anyone else have anything to say? Now's your chance.
I don't have anything to say, apart from expressing my gratitude. Well then, let us head back. No need to see us off.
Please, take care.
That trial is something I rarely bring up in conversation, but I have always felt deep regret for what happened to both Carol and Vautrin. The words he spoke in court often replay in my mind, as if urging me on to do something.
But Risley said he never resented you, right? Isn't that a good thing?
I believe I now understand what he wanted to tell me. I feel conflicted about those words. How should I describe it? Surprise, relief, fear, and regret. But this blend of emotions has led me to finally understand some things. I would like to hear your thoughts, too. What do you think of me?
Paimon agrees with everything Risley said. As Chief Justice, every single one of your trials makes an impact on Fontaine. Hey, any comments?
What I really think is, every trial you've ever judged has left its impression on you. And that's what makes you who you are today.
That is indeed a reasonable assumption. As I said, I find it difficult to express my emotions